This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning, recording from my home studio here in Gilbert, Arizona. You know what it is? Coming up is Monterey Car Week, and so we have our annual Monterey Car Week episode. And you know, I feel like last year I had Matt DeAndrea on, and I had Johnny Valencia on, and I blew the audio or I blew the video, so I had to recap it on my own. But this year, I actually made sure I captured the video and the audio so that you guys can learn about what's going on in Monterey Car Week without having to hear it through me, because let's be honest, people don't like my voice as much as they say they do. So that is what is coming up on today's show. More car talk. You asked, I listened for one episode. More car talk. Before we get to that, I tried to get my grandson to sit down and watch Star Wars: A New Hope. He'll be 8 soon. And he's watched like Lego Star Wars. First off, the hot take, those Lego movies are stupid. I've tried to watch them. No real personality. You just can't make facial expressions with 2 dots on the eyes and a face. You at least need like the whites of the eyes. That's why I think some of these other like Pixar stuff, it's more relatable and it's easier to watch because they can have a full range of facial expressions when they're talking. The Lego stuff, just dumb to me, hot take. But he's talked about Star Wars a little bit. And I sit him down and we start watching it, and he goes to the closet and he's got pulling out all this shit from the closet. Like, look, there's a dude from Star Wars and it's a bag of Grogu. He's never watched one episode of The Mandalorian, by the way. And then he's digging through and he finds some Lego things, and they built Darth Vader's TIE fighter at a kid's birthday party a few weeks ago. And he was talking about that, but he just wouldn't sit down and watch the show. And I realized, you know, A New Hope is kind of slow. It starts off with action, but even that, it's not that much action. I thought the lasers and seeing Darth Vader, because he knows who that is, and seeing Chewbacca and seeing R2-D2 and C-3PO would kind of pique his interest. Not at all. He spent most of the time watching or listening in the background while he was on his Nintendo Switch. And then I realized, man, maybe it's too soon. Maybe he's too young. Maybe I'll wait till he's like 10. I feel like I was around his age, maybe a little bit older, when I got introduced to Star Wars, because it was elementary school. Everybody wanted to be the characters. You played House, we played Dukes of Hazzard, we played Star Wars, you know? But it's wild, but I guess he's just not ready for that yet. Let me know what your experience is with your kids. When did you introduce them to stuff like Star Wars, things that we grew up with, most of us grew up with? I wanted to watch Transformers, and they have like these childish, weird Transformers cartoons, but nothing like G1 Transformers or any other cool shit. Maybe he's too young for that too. Coming up after this word from Arcus Foundry Spark Forge, we talk cars. If you run a business and you're tired of juggling tools, chasing logins, and constantly feeling like the tech side of things is heavier than it should be, this might hit close to home. That tech fatigue usually shows up as an outdated website, reviews slipping through the cracks, missed calls when you're busy, or social media that's always on the back burner. Most business owners know something's off, but fixing it feels like a bigger project than they have time for. SparkForge exists to take that weight off. It handles the tech behind the scenes, helps clean up how your business shows up online, makes sure calls and messages don't get mixed, keeps reviews from slipping through the cracks, and wrangles social marketing so you don't disappear for weeks. If you're curious, there's a short discovery session, and it comes with 90 days free to actually see if it makes things easier. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation about what's working, what's broken, and what you can simplify. So head over to getsparkforge.ai/hardparking to get started. Man, DeAndrea, welcome back to the show. I feel like we do this every year. Last year, I completely dropped the ball and had to kind of recap our conversation in so many ways. But I have you back this year. I'm not going to Monterey. Let's get that out of the way first. But what's going on with you this year?
There's a lot going on at Monterey, and thanks for having me back. It's always a fun conversation when you and I get together. I would say let's double check that we're recording this year.
Oh yeah, we're rolling.
It's definitely recording. I think we had a little technical issue last time.
It was the audio. Your audio was gone. Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I've been down that road before. I've done so many podcasts. I was just uploading a show, and I don't know how accurate the count is because it didn't count some of my earlier shows,
Hmm.
but I think I just put up show 1191 of CarCast. I have also
Hmm.
done 10 years of Shift and Steer, and I didn't count those shows. I think we're at like 600 shows on that one. So I don't know. It's a lot of podcasting over the years.
I
Yeah,
tell
it's a lot.
people the peak of my podcasting was being on your list. I don't know if I was the 10th, 11th, 15th, 30th person you called after Barrett Jackson that one year, but I'm like, I was on a real show and I'll probably never be invited back because it was such a train wreck, but I was glad I was on that show, and it's because of you, my friend.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, come back on the show anytime you want. We can always talk about NSXs.
That I know what I'm talking about. You
We
know,
can talk about that. Well,
I
look,
don't know torque specs and the new Edelbrock, whatever, but I do appreciate it.
listen, you don't need to know that stuff. We have all kinds of people on. It's all about car culture and the enthusiasts that bring all these events to life. Listen, you're talking about Monterey. I'm surprised you're not going this year. Japanese cars, Japanese race cars are kind of the featured mark across all of the events. It's going to be at Laguna
Yeah.
Seca at the track. It's going to be at Pebble Beach. It's going to be at the Quail event. And it's nice to see the Japanese cars starting to get that recognition. Now, this year specifically, everybody's leaning into the idea is the celebration of Japanese racing cars. But I was just with Tommy Kendall yesterday, and he's not going to the track. He's got
Mm.
to work. He usually works with Justin Bell, like at Pebble Beach and some of his other shows. But Mazda is bringing his championship Mazda race car to the track, which is great. And it's cool to see. Except he won't be there and he won't be driving it. He's like, my car is going, and I'm not going to the track. So there's a bit of that's going on. That it will be fun. Now for us, as we've talked about in the past, we enjoy going to the track. I usually go up, sort of just becomes tradition. I go up with Adam Carolla and a couple of other guys. Adam does race pretty much every year up there. This year we are bringing a BRE Datsun 510. BRE is Brock Racing Enterprises, and Pete Brock was I think he's going to be a grand marshal as well. He's
Oh
amazing. He's
wow.
great. He's got to be in his 80s now. Pete Brock, for those of you guys don't know, Pete was a designer back in the day. I believe he graduated from Art Center, and then immediately got a job with GM. And as a young designer, he designed the 63 split window Corvette. And it's funny because when I visit him at his home, he's got some of the original like sketches and line art
Oh, how
drawings of
cool is
that
that?
hanging in this hallways of that. So uh, from there, he went on and joined Shelby, and Shelby was racing and doing Le Mans and was taking the Cobras out. And then he said, "Listen, we're never going to get to 200 miles an hour at Le Mans with the Cobra because it's a roadster. We need to we need sort of a hard top version." Now, I know there's Cobras with a little hard top on them, but he designed the Shelby Daytona Coupe, right? Which is that gorgeous,
Oh yeah, it's
amazing
one of my
car.
favorite cars. It is
Uh,
one of my top dream cars. Yeah.
some of those cars were made here. Now, there was only like a handful made for racing, seven of them or something. Some were made here, and those were made on like wood bucks here, and some were actually made, the bodies were formed in Italy using a wire frame. And I believe this year at Monterey, I forgot which auction specifically, but one of those original cars is finally going up for auction.
Mm.
I think the estimate is 25 to 30 million, something around there.
Pocket change. Like, weren't they
Yeah.
gonna? I think it was your guys' documentary where I learned this, but weren't they gonna dump some of those like in the English Channel or something?
Yeah, they were. So after they raced them at Le Mans, Carroll Shelby was like, "Who wants to buy one of these things? I don't want to pay to bring it home." And he goes, "Well, we'll just drop them in the ocean. Like we'll just throw them overboard." Pete Brock still tells this story. He does a little like open house event at his
Okay.
house, like a cocktail party every year around SEMA. And he often tells a story where, Shelby was told him and the team, he's like, whoever wants one of these, he's like, you just give me $2,500 and you could just have the Shelby, like the Lamar Shelby car. He's like,
Like
you
the
gotta find a way
legit
to like
cars.
get it home. And now they're selling for $25 million. Like, talk about an investment. But although it's funny because one of the cars coming up for sale, and forgive me, I'll get into the other events, but one of the cars coming up for sale is a McLaren F1. This is the McLaren
Mm.
F1 GTR. This is the red car with the crazy yellow graphics on it.
It's
It's
on social media right now, everywhere. Yeah.
right, but it's owned by Nick
It's like a Hot
Mason,
Wheel.
the drummer of Pink Floyd. Uh,
Oh.
and I went to the Goodwood Festival of Speed years ago, and Adam and I were doing a TV show out there at the time. Um, and we interviewed Nick Mason, and he has a Ferrari 250 GTO that
Mm.
he bought, I don't know, a couple years old in the 70s for like 50 or $60,000. And that was a lot of money back then. And when we're talking to him, it's like, well, what's it worth now? 60 million? He's
It's like
like,
that's like a 50 or 60 million car.
he's
No
like, maybe,
more?
maybe more. Yeah. It's like
Oh,
70
it's
million
crazy.
bucks. And it's funny because when I saw this McLaren F1 GTR come up for sale, and the estimate is like 35 million bucks. And I was like, oh, Nick Mason's just clearing out his junk. He's like,
Mm.
he's getting rid of his cheap stuff. He's got a $70 million Ferrari. So like, why does he care about his $35 million GTR? He's like, I got to get rid of the crap I don't drive anymore. Although it's one of the most coveted cars in the world. Not the most expensive, but the one that just everybody really wants is a
What do you
McLaren
think that
F1.
thing's going to end up? Yeah, everybody wants a McLaren F1. For this specific one with kind of the storied wild graphics on it, what do you think it's going to hammer at?
So this is kind of a tough one because it was a
Yeah.
race car. McLaren developed it as a race car and used it like for testing, and it was supposed to race at Le Mans. But then they brought it back. This is like in 1996. And then they brought it back and converted it to a street legal car. They didn't do like the full interior and everything, right? So it still has like a race car interior and a carbon fiber
Interesting.
dash with a racing seat. So it's a track spec car that is street legal that they converted. And then I believe Nick Mason bought it in 99, had it ever since. So if you're expecting to see the full street car like what Jay Leno has, his black
Right.
F1, that's not this car. Now, does that make it more unique? Yes. Is it more desirable? Tough to say. And
Right.
then
Right.
there's the Nick Mason history. Oftentimes we'll see celebrity cars. The celebrity ownership doesn't really move the needle that much. Quite honestly, if you're buying Elvis's Cadillac, you're only buying it because it's Elvis. You could care less about the Cadillac. But a lot
Sure.
of these really high value exclusive cars, the celebrity ownership doesn't move the needle that much. I think Seinfeld has sold a couple of Porsches over the years, some with his name on it, some with his name off of it. Doesn't really move the needle that much, especially when you're getting in the tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
What are you going to add? Even if you added 10%, which would be a lot, you're adding $1 million. It's a lot of money, but on a $10 million car, it's a small percentage, and I don't think it moves the needle that much. So that being said, this is a very cool car. I think it does well because McLaren F1s don't change hands that much, but I do think it's a less desirable version of the McLaren F1. So we were Adam and I and Goldberg actually, who I do the podcast, we were kind of like taking bets on this. Goldberg loves the car. He thinks it goes over the estimate. I kind of feel like it's going to go a little under the estimate. Now, I'm rooting for the car. I hope it does well.
100%. Right. Yeah.
But does it get to the 35 million, even with the VIG, like with the fees and everything? Does it get to the 35 million? I think if it does, it scratches the surface of it. But they're asking for almost $10 million more than the last F1 street car went up. It's a $25 million car. So I think it doesn't quite reach the 35 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like they've been going for the low to mid 20s in the last few years, right?
Yeah, I think a silver one at Gooding was for about 25 million bucks. Now,
And
again,
that
you
was in
gotta
21.
yeah, it's been a few years. So
Yeah.
yeah, you and I don't remember the exact price of it, but you do have to
Right.
take into account like the fees and stuff. If you're paying
Sure.
10% over something, then that's what you really paid, so you do have to look at that. Now, that being said, so Monterey, I think the track is going to be a great place to go. Like I said, Adam's racing his BRE Datsun 510. It's the number 85 Bobby Allison car. But because of that celebration of Japanese cars, we're bringing a few other vehicles. We're bringing the first BRE Roadster. It's a Datsun 2000. The first BRE Roadster
Oh yeah.
that Pete Brock also designed. We're bringing another Datsun 510. Now, we didn't fully finish restoring it, but we want to bring it out and display it. If you're familiar with the BRE livery, like the red, white, blue, you know, different panels on it, there was a privateer car that raced in Jamaica and it was yellow and white. And it's really
Mm.
cool. I think it's number 26 car. So we have that car. Our guy in house that works for Adam has been working and restoring it. He painted it. He's been rebuilding the whole thing. I don't. It won't be running, but we're going to bring it out to display it. Now, Pete actually loves this car because he did design the car, and
Sure.
he got to play off of the different colors using the red and the I'm sorry, the yellow and white and the black graphics for the numbers and so he really liked when he heard we got this car, and then he saw we text him, we email him, this is where we are with the paint. What do you think? Is this going to be right? Even as we're taping it up, we get to run it by Pete and go, does this look right to you? Because the only photo we've seen of it is actually like a black and white photo
Oh,
that's been
oh,
floating around online. But listen, if the next best thing is just going off of Pete Brock's memory, that's enough for me. If he said, no,
right.
I did it
Yeah.
this way or I did it this way, even if he
Totally.
doesn't recall 100%, it was like, nobody else is going to care. Like, nobody else is like verifying if you were telling the truth or not, right? Because there's no other photos of it. So if Pete says it's this way, then I'm going by it. You know, uh, so we got that car out. And then, interesting story is when Pete left Shelby and he went to go get money from Datsun, he went to Japan. He went to their marketing person because USA turned him down, and he went to Japan, and then they gave him the money. And they owned Hino trucks at the time, which I think now is owned by
Mm.
Toyota. So Hino also sent the very first Hino transporter. It's like a box truck, like a little U-Haul. It's like a stub nose, flat
Sure.
base. And he painted it up white. He put the red racing stripes in the front. And it was the very first Hino transporter here. And he used to put his Roadster in it and drive all around the country. And the thing was gutless. It was like a four
Oh,
cylinder.
right.
So we have that car. We have that truck. We have the first Hino transporter.
Oh,
And
wow.
then our friend Bodie Stroud is a great hot rod builder. Uh, he did like an LS swap for us, like put air conditioning in it and turned it into a
Holy
transporter.
shit.
So we're gonna put the yellow car in the back, and we built this display where it can come out straight instead of going down ramps. It can come out straight, and it has like posts like a podium, and you can take the car out like three-quarters of the way and display them together.
Oh, cool.
That I think it'll be kind of fun. So hopefully that'll all happen. I'm waiting to hear back from the track on transportation because we don't have a trailer that can bring the Hino truck up there. We don't have enough people to drive them and all. But so that should be fun. We'll be at the track. I guess Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They used to like run a group like two or three times during the day, but now they kind of spread it out. So I
Mm,
guess
sure.
the reasoning would be if you were gonna if you were gonna run like a B sedan group on Friday and Saturday, then some people that go to other events don't get to see the cars. So now instead of running two or three times for 2 days, they run it once a day for like 4 days. Now it kind of screws up our schedule because now we can't, because we have other things to do during the days that we want, other events we want to go to. So it makes it a little bit difficult. But better for spectators. So that'll be kind of the plan for that.
What are you going to do with your Thursday evening?
Well, as you know, we usually go to an Acura event, and there was no Acura event this year, uh, which was a little surprising because I actually really do love that event. I love going and hanging out with you and the people from the Honda and Acura team.
It's fun too because it's kind of smaller. I don't
They
know
do
how
a great
pretentious
job.
other groups are, but it's none of that's there, and it's just kind of laid back, right?
You're right. It's kind of a smaller, like intimate group, and it's outside. They always put on a good show and debut something that's kind of fun and great entertainment. The food's always good, and it's once they do their presentation, you're right. It's one of those events where people hang out for hours until the end because everybody's just having a good time and chatting it up. There are some events where you're like, all right, they did the
Sure.
presentation. I got to bail. I got to go to the next event. That one we never do. Um,
Yeah.
so this year we got invited to a friend's like dinner cocktail hour, and he is
Is there another boat? Is it another like 700-foot yacht or what?
it is not another boat, but it is somebody who is of that caliber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, we talked about last year, so that part isn't really secret. This event this year, it's not my place to say, but last year was Rick Caruso. So
Yeah.
those of you in California are familiar with Rick Caruso. He's a, a real
He's good
estate
at
developer.
not getting his house or his area burned down. He's really good at that, right? He's pretty talented.
Yes, yes, he does have a private fire department on call. Which, by the way, that sounds crazy. Like you're a billionaire, you have your private fire department on call, but he pays for them year round. And whenever he's not using them, like for fires and forest fires and stuff out here in California, he lends them out for free.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, why
Right.
not?
So he's like, protect my stuff. When I say my stuff, I don't mean like his wife and kids, like that's handled. He means the developments that he's built, all the stores and all of his tenants in the stores and the like the Pacific Palisades Mart, like that's his and protect that. But whenever he's not using them, he foots the bill and has them all go out and fight fires. Uh,
That's
you know,
really cool.
yeah, it's cool. So the
Those are the
last
stories
year,
nobody really knows or hears about, right? You're just
yeah,
like,
and I
oh,
don't
this
even
guy's
think,
got his own department, whatever. But yeah,
yeah, and he pays for it all. He pays for it all. So last year he came up to Monterey and he had a party on his little boat, which is like a 270-foot
yeah,
yacht, which they they transport you out there in a bunch of other smaller boats and everybody's dressed up and fancy. And you, by the way, you take a tour of this thing,
sounds
you
terrible,
you
dude.
meet with the captain and he kind of walks you through some of the tech on this thing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's really amazing. And we were very fortunate to be invited to that. So anyway, we have a friend out there for Thursday night that's inviting us to his house that he has up there. So looking forward to that. And talk about an amazing car collection. Probably, Miras and race cars and Talbot Lagos and Ferrari 250
wow.
GTOs. And it's definitely sort of a who's who, if you will, of, by the way, the garage is all like terrazzo floors, polished up, and there's always somebody there just like opening wine bottles. It's like, welcome to the garage. And I'm like, what's happening? Where am I? How did I get here? It's nice. It's a good time.
It's funny
Uh,
because it's part of
yeah.
the Monterey allure too for those, and it's not even part of the core car week, but it's just one of those dozens of things that are going on at the same time, and it's the reason why people gravitate just to that area every year.
Yeah.
That is the
But
one thing, you know.
and that's just a friend doing something at his house.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
not like there's no real agenda there so of all the car events that happen, for all the car events that happen that people can just buy tickets to. Also keep in mind that a lot of the vehicle manufacturers, they like rent a house and they bring some cars and they do their like owners party. Ferrari has a house, Aston Martin, Bentley, like all these,
Sure, yeah,
Porsche. And sometimes they host an event, sometimes they have a party, but it's usually just like for certain owners and top sellers and dealers and it's all there's ways to get to be invited to those types of things depending on the vehicles that you're into and maybe what you
Right.
own. But a lot of it is you could just buy tickets. You can go to Concorso Italiano, which is going to be a great event. I don't think I'm going to make it there this year, but that's going to be a great event. The ones we normally go to is we definitely go to the track. We like going to the track.
Yeah.
We try to hit up the Quail event, which is always really nice. And Pebble Beach, the Concours on Sunday, right? We're just up there for a few days, and then Sunday we usually drive back to LA. But we go in the morning, hit up Pebble, and then pack up and just leave. So the track will be fun. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on over there. I'm trying to think of.
Well, I mean, there's auctions that are going on nonstop. There's never a bad corner anywhere in town.
There definitely are auctions. The Broad Arrow auction is going to be at the Quail location. So the track is not just going to be Japanese cars. They're running all of the groups. There's about 550 cars that apply to race. And then they are celebrating, I believe, a 45th anniversary of IMSA GTP cars. That's going to be cool to see. IROC as well. So and historic Indy cars. They have a group running historic Indy cars. They're running the IROC cars. They're running the IMSA GTP cars. These are all part of like the featured marks for the year, as well as the JDM cars, Mazda, Toyota, even Yamaha, and then Honda, Nissan, Lexus, Acura, Infiniti, Mitsubishi. They're all going to have cars there at the track. Now, the Quail is always a cool mix of things to celebrate as well.
Right.
Now, Gordon McCall, who's run the event for a long time, he often curates a lot of what the cars are going to be. So this year they're going to do a 100th anniversary, a celebration of the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So you can definitely see some cool cars there.
Yep.
They're doing a celebration of the Lamborghini Diablo. That will be cool. Also, they're doing a legacy of Japanese GTs, right? So where the track will have racing cars, this will be Japanese GT cars. And then Ferrari F40. I think they're going to have the largest gathering of F40s in one place ever.
Geez, like I'm imagining this as you say this, having been fortunate enough to go to the Quail quite a few times. And God, those tickets are going crazy right now. In the secondhand market, they're like $2,400 a piece. But I can imagine 50 Diablos. I don't even know how many F40s there's going to be out there. And it's just, you can't really explain it. It seems unimaginably impossible until you see it or see pictures of it, man. It's just crazy. Yeah.
The Quail has been interesting in that over the years, it's evolved into the launching pad. Like you think of car shows, LA Auto Show, New York Show. Right. You think of certain other events where car companies may want to introduce and launch a car to the media. The Quail has become the launching destination for all of the small limited production, reimagined companies. I'm using that term reimagined. I know sort of Singer has kind of taken ownership of that, but Superleggera
Works and shit like that. Right.
Gunther Works is a perfect example. Gunther Works, Koenigsegg, Hennessy, that bring out their Venom F5, Superleggera. They do sort of a Singer version of the Ferrari of the Ferrari 550. Bentley will be there. Probably Lamborghini will be there. Roof, right? That's another great one, right? And this is where they spend a big chunk of their PR money, their marketing money, instead of doing like an LA Auto Show or something like that. Like Porsche launches cars now at Rennsport.
I mean, right? That makes sense.
Because that's a captive audience. They can go, hey, let's launch something at New York Auto Show, or let's launch something at Rennsport, which is an event that basically they own, right? And it's Porsche people. So that's kind of a neat idea. So that's the Quail. That's the track. I'm not sure what is debuting, if anything special, like at the Concorso Italiano. And I know there used to be the Exotics on Cannery Row, but it's changed and it's a different
Exotics
location.
On Broadway.
Yeah. And now I think it's a ticketed event because there was too many TikTokers out there climbing.
I think
poles.
Last year they started, I'm going to have Johnny Valencia on right after you.
Yeah.
Was we
Oh,
did
he's
the
great.
annual
I
thing
love
too.
Johnny.
He's fun. And I think last year they started doing the ticketing thing, kind of experiment, and had like a little VIP area. And so I'm going to ask him how that went.
Yeah.
But you can't, because you can't fucking move.
Yeah, you
It's a
can't.
free event, but you can't really move, and everything's stanchioned off as it should be.
Well, you know what was crazy was last year. I mean, every year you'd always like if you left the Quail, that the road leaving, which is just a public highway, you'd see all the people on the sides of the roads and the youngsters on the sides of the roads, just with cameras out and stuff. But
Yep, yep, yep.
last year was nuts, like Pebble Beach, and there was kids everywhere, just all on the sides of the roads and just filming cars coming and going. Some of it looked a little dangerous. Like some people climbing like light poles and standing on the roof of vans and stuff. I was like, maybe take it easy, tone that down a little bit. It's not
Yeah,
that I'm against it. Like it's great. They're cool cars. Tickets are expensive, so you gotta like if you want to see these things and film any of them, you kind of have to be on the sides of the highways in a safe area. Once you start like trying to crash events and mob like the hotel valet, like that's insane. Like you should probably not
yeah.
do that. Um, but there's some cool things out there to see. Now, the Pebble Beach Concours, which is on Sunday, still the headliner of the event. Uh, they have a bunch of different classes that get voted on. Ferrari, of course, is going to be a celebrated class this year. There's early American speedsters. These are pre-World War One cars. Now we say
Wow.
pre-war cars. We usually mean World War Two, but they're going to do pre-World War One speedsters. They're going to do the birth of the Streamliner. So there's going to be a handful of these are like 1930s cars. They're going to do some racing greats, I think what they're calling it. These are cars from all eras, like the 50s, things that have raced
This is
Phil
at Pebble.
Hill. Yeah, this is Phil Hill. These are judged categories. So expect
Oh
cars
yeah.
from like
Okay.
Phil Hill, Carroll Shelby, Ken Miles, Bill Pollock, Phil Remington, like all historic names in the racing space. They are going to have a Japanese motorsports category as well. That's going to be cool to see. Uh, you're going to see Le Mans cars. So
Mm.
Japanese Le Mans cars and other marks of Le Mans cars. So you can see Bentley, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Ford, Porsche Le Mans cars. You can see Mazda Le Mans cars, um, Jaguar, Nissan. Uh,
Sounds like a great year for me not to go, right?
right?
Jeez.
And in modern day Le Mans cars, like Honda that ran Le Mans in 94 to 2006, they won the GT2 class in 95. So some of those cars should be up there. So that's going to be a cool event
Oh,
as
that'd
well.
be
So
cool,
I
man.
was definitely surprised that you said you were not going to be
Well,
going,
usually I plan
although,
it based on whether Acura's doing something or they have something fancy, right? And it's like you have to book it so far in advance or just have people, right? I'm not, I don't have people at this point, but you know, you got to book it so far in advance. And then, you know, when I heard that Acura's not doing their thing, I'm like, okay, well, that just tells me that they're not going to, you know, really have anything special this year for them as a brand. And then, but you know, you're making me feel like I really should,
well,
should go.
look, I mean, I think Acura is not doing their event because they didn't have a car to launch this year, right? The racing team is changing a little bit. The Meyer Shank
Yep.
racing team
Yep.
is changing. They're not going to do like the IMSA stuff. They're just going to do the IndyCar stuff.
Yep.
So they don't have a car to debut there, and then everything else is not slated to have a new production car, a new street car slated. So there's no
It's
point to
just
do that.
reconfiguring, right? It's just kind of going back and
Yeah.
reevaluating like so many manufacturers have been doing. And I feel like they're kind of like one of the last of the big brands, Acura, Honda, to finally say, hey, maybe we should pivot. And, you know, when you're pivoting months before a big event, I guess you just have to pull it back for a while.
They'll probably have their suite at Pebble Beach,
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
they will definitely have a presence at Laguna Seca this year at the racetrack. Even if you came up for Saturday and just went to the track, which by the way, it's like $50 for the ticket or something. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody can go. It's great. It doesn't Pebble Pebble Beach, the whole like Monterey Car Week doesn't need to be thousands of dollars. Like, and if you're close enough that you can drive into town for the day and then leave,
Yeah, yeah.
that's not bad either, right? Then you can, get a ticket to the track, go Saturday, watch some of the racing, walk around the paddock. Like I said, the racing is usually about 550 cars, and they're curated, so they're all usually kind of the historic cars and the best of the best. Uh, and every pass is a paddock pass. So you can walk around, you can talk to the owners, you can talk to
That's
the
awesome. Yep.
drivers. You can get up on those cars, you can take pictures, and then you can get to the grandstands and watch some of the racing and some great displays. Like I said, the BRE displays that are going to be there as well. It's going to be cool. So yeah,
I've
it's
never
worth
once
checking out.
gone to the grandstands. It's walking around and then taking that long ass trek to the corkscrew, and going up that thing and watch it from up there. And that's where I usually watch when I do go.
Yeah, you know, but because Adam usually races, they have a suite set up for the drivers
Right.
where you can pop in and get some water, get a little bit of air conditioning, and you can watch some of the racing from there. But even though we're invited to that as part of your, entry fee to race, we still often go over to the side to the grandstands and see him come out of turn one, two, three, turn two and three, I think it is. Um, and
I
it's,
think I've stood like ground level, but I haven't gone up or anything. I've stood like kind
yeah,
of right there, which is cool. Or when you're crossing over to go to those, I call it like it's not really a flea market or a swap meet, but you know that on the other side of the bridge,
to
that
the
whole
infield. Yeah,
infield, the whole cluster of vendors.
there's like that vendor row in the infield. So you go over the little bridge and you go into there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. That's cool too.
Flea market.
Yeah. It's not really the flea market, but
It's an expensive flea market, but
yeah, I don't think there's a lot of like buy, sell,
but you knew what
trade,
I was
like
talking
swaps
about,
going
right?
on over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they call it. The vendor row, vendor pavilion, that kind of
That's
thing.
where I
But
saw all the singers for the first time. I think Johnny might have still been with Michelin at the time, and then the Everati, that company that turns Porsches into EVs.
yes. Yes. I do remember that. I remember when Singer had a thing over there. I don't know if they're doing that again. But yeah, it should be awesome. If you can come up for like a day or so, you should come up. Like you
Yeah, we'll
said, hit the
see.
track, see the cars,
We'll see.
hear it, smell it.
Well, shit,
Yeah.
man. How's Shift Steer going? How's CarCast going with Alistair?
Everything's great. Thanks for asking. We do CarCast twice a week, once a week with Alistair Weaver. He's the editor in chief of Edmunds, and then
Yep.
Shift and Steer. Always have a great time with those guys. It's with Brad Fanshaw from Bond Speed Wheels and Aaron Hagar, who's a great artist, and his dad's Sammy Hagar. So, and it's just fun to just do events with those guys. I think Brad is on he's like an RV tour. He's doing like national parks. He's in
Oh,
like
really?
Utah and stuff right now with some family. And Aaron just came back from the Goodwood Festival of Speed for his first time ever, as well as his dad did a bunch of shows in London. So he went to a few of those. It was kind of a last minute trip. He just hopped the flight, jumped the pond, and got to do a bunch of great things while he was out there. So uh, it was great content, great stories for the podcast.
Well, dude, next time you're in this area, which you never really are, let me know, man. Love to go out and get a brew or something.
I appreciate that. I'd love to do that. You know that like when I get out there, we often run into each other, but it's usually like a quick trip like Barrett Jackson or something like that.
That's a crazy week, so.
And honestly, I'm just out there for like 2-3 days. Like we get out there, like we do that Friday Barrett, the big Friday, the big Saturday, and then I'm wheels up and I'm
Yep.
back out. But for some reason I always seem to see you floating around out there as well.
Random, right? Well, I think the last time we just were walking in, and there's thousands of people going in and out throughout the course of any given hour, and we just happened to be walking in like at the same time. I think you actually came up behind me,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So
Yeah, but you were hosting an event as part of that, the Barrett Jackson week as well.
oh yeah, RIP to Future Collector Car Show. Yep.
Yeah, are they still doing that? They're still doing that, right?
No, no, no. I think the last one was, I think the fall of 24, and then Craig
Okay.
Jackson was like, psh. But you know, it's too bad. It's a huge missed opportunity. But you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I was honored to be the MC for that for the 2 or 3 times, and then you know, being up there with even Bogey a couple of those times was really awesome. And so it's something I'm always going to remember.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope to see you up in Monterey. It's worth the
I'll
trip.
FaceTime you.
Yeah. It'll just get worse. I'll be like, look at all the stuff you're missing. Look at these cars. Look
Yeah.
at the stuff you're missing. We've
Yeah,
never
I
seen
know,
this.
man. I mean,
Been
you
in the
know, who
museum for
knows?
years. And
Who
yeah, I
knows?
think Nissan's bringing out, I think it's the number 46. That's the John Morton 510 championship car.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Oh
coming
well.
out too. Yep.
All right, Matt. I'll talk to you later. Have a great time in Monterey. If I don't see you, which I probably won't, but you never know what the future holds. Otherwise, I'll be running into you hopefully at some point in the next 6 months.
Absolutely, we will. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on.
Johnny Valencia, welcome back to Hard Parking. We do this every year. Every year we say we need to do this more often than just once a year. Yet here we are a year later. Last year I completely hosed this thing up, but we have another attempt now. So what's going on? How have you been? And then what's going on with Exotics on Broadway this year?
Yeah, you hit it the nail on the head. You said, oh, we got to do this more often. And like you said, here we are again, exactly a year later almost. End of July, August is around the corner, which means all things car week. But no, thanks for asking. Been doing great. The agency is doing great. We're doing, a lot of work on the East Coast this year. Still have our West Coast clients and opportunities and jobs and events and whatnot. So things are moving along really, really well. So thank you for asking.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit last year. And like I said earlier, I had some technical difficulties and completely blew it. But as a recap, talk about the agency a little bit before we get to a Monterey Car Week, because I think you're like a one-stop shop. You guys have a couple different things you're doing.
Yeah. We've been expanding into some different areas that, we hadn't tapped into in the past. And just to give you, once again, an overall, so Gear One Agency is an automotive marketing agency. We've worked with numerous different clients. And, I'll fire off a few that, we've worked with. We've managed track events for Koenigsegg. We work with Motor Trend very closely on all of their channels, which include like Super Street, Hot Rod Magazine. We work with other companies like M Engineering. We manage social media accounts for a lot of companies. BBS is a big one that everybody knows. So the BBS USA page, is managed on our end. And then we also help manage events and rallies as well. So, for example, like we recently this year did a rally for RWB. So if you don't know, RWB is, Nakaya-san from Japan who modifies Porsches. They wanted to do a US rally. So through RWB USA and RWB Japan, we got together and did their very first organized rally in the US. And it was an East Coast rally, which was great. 7-8 days.
That
Starting
sounds
off in
awesome.
Atlanta. Yeah, it was great. And we had, like close to 30 RWBs
Oh,
all
wow.
together. We had several guests that flew in from Japan to do it, including Nakaya-san and his dog, Bagel. Had a great time. Great experience, good energy. What's interesting, not to go off the road the wrong way too much, but we typically manage upscale exotic car rallies.
Mm-hmm.
And, with that, the customer is a type. Everybody's a type. When we did the RWB rally, it was so laid back. Everybody was so cool. Nobody was above anybody. They stuck together and drove together the entire time. There wasn't like a fast group, a slow group, things like that. It was everybody together all the time. And it was so fun because, the things that they wanted to do, because we catered very much to the Japan guests. Their wants were to us cheesy,
Right.
American
Yeah.
tourist stuff.
Yeah.
So like they wanted to go bowling. They wanted to go to Disney World. They wanted, to all these little things, which in turn made it very fun for us because it was laid back stuff.
Sure.
It wasn't 4-star, 5-star hotels. It wasn't Ritz Carltons. It wasn't elevated dining experiences. It was freaking hot dogs and
The culture. They want to experience everything,
yeah. So, that's something that we do very well, providing experiences of a lifetime that they'll remember and want to come back to. We're already talking about 2027 rally. We'll probably head to the West Coast for that one for RWB. But again, outside of that, we do a lot of other things. We build websites, we do SEO. I call it the boring work. Sorry. The desk stuff. So managing social media, building websites, doing SEO, do a lot of consulting, things like that, to get people on road. And we manage and activate, events, private events, small scale, big scale. Big scale is a good, opportunity to talk about Exotics on Broadway. That's a 30 to 40,000 people event that's coming up very soon in Seaside during Monterey Car Week.
So with your different packages, because you have a whole different range of clients, right? Is there like you get this package for this price and this package and this package, or this is like, here's what we'd offer because you don't really have time to kind of screw around with packages. This is our base and these are our add-ons type of deal?
A lot of what we do is, a brand, a company, an individual will reach out to us. They've heard about us. They know us. Maybe they know us personally and don't know as much about the business. Because, a lot of it is referral or word of mouth.
Sure. Right.
And a lot of what we do, quite honestly, is, a lot of behind the scenes things, right? So, social media is all about the showing off, showing yourself, the fun stuff, everything that goes right. You're never showing the difficulties and the problems. It's everything in front of the curtain on stage. We do a lot of behind the curtain stuff for brands and companies. Would it be great to be show offish and be like, this is what we do, this is us. But, we're not here. We're not the stars. We're here to make you the star, right?
Right.
So that's the way we look at it. And, we've been perfectly fine, for now going on, 8 years since we started. Yeah, thank you. Starting the company. So typically everything is almost kind of individual. We have a discovery meeting with for a potential client at first. And then from there, we're able to find out how can we make them successful at whatever it is that their goals are. So we'll create proposals to them, almost like in an a la carte proposal offering. And then from there, they decide, budget obviously is one, time, things of that nature. And they decide what it is that they need. And then from there, we let them know, okay, well, here's what you can expect from choosing 2 out of 6 instead of 4 out of 6 or whatever, or here's what you can expect from 6 out of 6 on the offering. And then, we dot I's and cross T's and sign papers and get to moving. And we treat our clients like it's our own business, so we work hard, we work, very closely with their teams and get engaged and integrated into their world. The more that they can open up to us, the more, the more that we can deliver for them.
Sure. So what do you got going on this year in Monterey?
Monterey Car Week.
And how did it go last year? Because I think last year you started, I think it was last year when you started maybe the extra side package, the ticket sales, like the experience. I don't remember if it was VIP or if it was just like the experience, like an experience. Like how did that go? And then what do you got going on this year?
Okay, no, that's a perfect setup. So let me recap 2025 for you.
Yeah.
So Exotics on Broadway, this year is, I believe, year 10 of the event overall. Wow. So, it started off in Cannery Row, still in Monterey, and then we shifted over to Seaside because of growth. So Monterey Car Week and Exotics on Broadway 2025, we did make a change last year, as you mentioned, and here's why. The event has always been a free to the public, free spectator event. And with that being that Monterey Car Week, other events are typically in the hundreds of dollars and some even thousands of dollars to walk into a place, a facility, a golf course, something to see a lot of the stuff that we have, right? So people take advantage and come to our show, which is great. It's a show for the people. That's why it was created. However, with that, the growth has kind of turned the event into it's too many people. It's a lot of people, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 people. It's tough to see the cars. It's tough to look at the cars. It's just a lot of people. So how do you fix that, right? If you continue expanding it, that's a way. But the other way is to kind of limit the number of people or the spectators. So what we did is this event covers about 8 to 9 city blocks.
Mm.
So we do have 4 blocks of the event that will remain to be a free show, and that's Broadway Avenue. 4 blocks.
Okay.
These are registered show cars. You have all of the local restaurants and bars and entertainment and all of that on Broadway. That is a free show. You're going to see, 250 exotic cars, supercars, all of that, right? Now, the next portion of the event, which was called the Fremont Experience, is Fremont Boulevard.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, last year. So what we did is we enclosed that entire portion of the event. So it had a gate. And to enter the Fremont Experience was a ticket price. I believe it was $30 a person. Kids 12 and under are free with a paying adult. And inside that Fremont Experience were all of our exhibitors, sponsors, brands, companies, shops, all of the hypercars. So everything, all the multi-million-dollar cars are in that Fremont Experience. We also have our VIP lounge in that area.
Okay.
And then also the main entertainment stage, which is led by an MC. We have DJ up there. We do interviews, with personalities and CEOs of some of the car brands that show up. So last year, that was a change. With change comes challenges. So
Right.
there was a lot of people showing up like, oh, I thought this was a free event, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, it still is. Part of it's free, part of it's paid. So we can control the amount of people that are in that Fremont Experience. So now it's more comfortable. You can see the cars more clearly. You can have just an overall better experience. You're not sardine packed.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's move to 2026. This year we're doing the same thing. However, the city kindly asked us to forfeit Fremont Boulevard and then take the opposite side of our event, which is Del Monte Boulevard.
The Del Monte Experience.
Yeah. So
does that come with a steak?
Yeah. So now we're at the Del Monte side of Broadway and basically incorporating the same thing that we did on Fremont last year. So there will be, it's ticketed. It's $40 to get in. Kids 12 and under are free with a paying adult. All of the hypercars will be in there. All of the vendors, exhibitors, majority of them, excuse me. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we did not leave Broadway behind as far as we're not ignoring Broadway. It's still, there's still going to be 200 supercars, exotic cars parked there, but we've added vendors and exhibitors onto Broadway as well. This year, there will also be a second stage, entertainment stage, with the DJ and whatnot on Broadway. So they have entertainment on Broadway. Del Monte will also have its own entertainment stage. That'll be called the main stage. The secondary stage will be on Broadway. Changes that we've also done to Del Monte that spectators that came last year will appreciate is we're adding food options onto Del Monte. So there'll be, numerous different food trucks and desserts and whatnot for people. Because last year, We didn't do that in the enclosed area, and a lot of feedback we got. People didn't really appreciate having to leave to go onto Broadway to get food and drink, and then come back. So we've
Yeah,
addressed.
that could be like a 45-minute minimal
Yeah,
detour, depending, right?
yeah, yep. So we've addressed that concern, um, and yeah, let me go down the list of the normal things that you want to talk about. So this year, the event is on August 15th, Saturday, in Seaside, California, which is, right near Monterey. And it's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when the gates will open for the ticketed portion to go in there. Our title sponsor this year is Spark. They were our title sponsor last year. Spark is a company that builds a diagnostic OBD2 tool for your car.
Okay.
Utilizing some proprietary AI to help learn your car's behavior to be able to provide you detailed information about things to look for in the future with your vehicle and things to consider. So it's a really cool tool here that is just plugs into your OBD2.
It sounds like it evaluates and caters the experience and feedback specifically maybe to your driving style and stuff.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
So pretty cool tool. They're the title sponsor, so they're going to be there hot and heavy with great display and cool cars and whatnot, and their team to be able to talk to people and answer any questions. Also, what we do every year is we have a featured mark. This year, the featured mark is going to be Hennessy. So Hennessy vehicle. So John Hennessy, who builds, the most powerful cars in America in Texas, is going to be our featured mark. So we're going to recognize them and how far they've come over the past decades to become what they are now with their vehicles. So John is going to be there with several Hennessy cars, including a few special ones. Well, they're all special, but a few significant pieces. So we're excited to have John and his crew back, and we're going to be recognizing them. Another big one that is going to be there this year is our good friends at Koenigsegg.
Okay.
So Christian von Koenigsegg will be there again, and we will have the largest number of Koenigsegg's that we've ever had, and it's very likely the largest, at least in the U.S. I think, again, we keep breaking that record at our show with Koenigsegg.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting 30. Wow. Yeah, I'm not even sure how many are in the U.S., but I'm going to say it's not that much more than probably 30.
If that, right? I mean, you guys would know because you do these events all the time, but I feel like one of the last times I was at the Quail, I don't know how many there were. I want to say maybe 10 to 12, and I was like, this is the biggest collection I've ever seen of these crazy cars.
Yeah, years ago.
I don't even think there were that many.
Yeah. Years ago when we were on Cannery Row and I was on the Michelin side of house, I was really upset because we had 11 and I wanted to have a dozen eggs and I couldn't find a 12th one. So now here we are, 8-9 years later, and we're talking about 30.
Wow.
So this is a good mixture, Ageras, Rugeras, Sedair Spear car is coming again. I can't wait to see 30 of them together cruising down the sea of people to get to their destination. It's going to be wild. So Koenigsegg, big presence as well. We talked about Hennessy. Busy Moto is bringing 6 cars. Busy is a really great friend, and we really believe in what he does and his builds. So he's got petrol cars, he has full electric cars now. He's dabbling in everything, man. So back from the Honda days, Busy was a cool guy, and now he's dabbling in Rolls Royces and Porsches and all kind of cool stuff. So excited to have him in the house. Some of your normal people that you expect, DDE is going to be there with their crew. Keller Moore is going to be there. Now we're talking influencers. Keller Moore is going to be there.
People come out for that, not just they come out obviously to see the badass cars, but if they can see their favorite influencers or these people with these millions of followers that they get to watch online all the time or watch vlogs, to be there in front of them. It's the whole
Yeah,
star factor, right?
it is. And you know, it's really fun to see the younger auto enthusiast
Yeah.
because you know, Jay, we talk about this a lot with a lot of people. It's like, oh, kids don't care about cars anymore. You know, the community's getting smaller and smaller every year, and things like that, and electric cars and no cars and emissions, and nobody cares anymore. But when you see these young folks desperately wanting to go say hello to a YouTube personality, it's pretty cool. You know, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. You know, whether I watch their channel or not, because I'll be honest, I'm getting old, and there's many times where my kid is like, "Oh, did you see so-and-so?" I'm like, "Who is that? I don't even know who that is." You know, and it's like,
Same.
man, yeah. So it's really a good experience. I really enjoy seeing that part of the show with the personalities, or like one of them will be driving up in the distance to get to their parking spot, and I see like a kid tap his foot. He's like, "Oh my God, here he comes!" You know, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool. You know, you cannot not enjoy that. So yeah, so that, you know, that's the part. And then as far as hypercars, you know, we've gotten to, and you know, that's another debate on itself. What is actually a hypercar? It's like, oh, you know, it has to be at least a
Yeah. How do
multi-million
you
dollar
define
car.
it?
But as far as how we define it at Exotics on Broadway, we're currently at 54 hypercars that are going to be in attendance at the show. And you know, that's a mixture of the 30 Koenigsegg's and then all of your other well-knowns like F40s, F50s, you
People
know,
with their
all of
Paganis.
the Pagani, yeah, the Paganis, you know,
Yeah.
Ferrari SP3, SF90XXs, Zenvo's bringing a car, Carrera GTs, Lowtech is bringing one of their cool cars, SSE with the Tuataras and all of those things,
Right.
Senna's, McLaren Senna's. Um, you you really have to work hard to find an event that is at this caliber. Just being honest with vehicles. So all the firepower's there, all the star power's there. It's gonna be a good show.
Well, that sounds good, man. Well, like I said, I wish I can go this year. I won't be there this year again. Like I say, every year, maybe next year, I'll be able to get out there. Because, I mean, you guys do this, you kind of, like, you know you're going to be back every year. I'm pretty sure they ask you back, and they say, yeah, you know, come back. And then at that point, you can start planning, right? Randos like me, we have to decide in January to at least get that hotel reservation in case you have to cancel it, you know, in July. But if you wait, then you either got to have somebody that you're friends with that you can crash with, or you're going to be sleeping in your car, or you're going to think, oh, I'm just going to stay in, I don't know, I'm going to stay in Santa Cruz. It's like right up the street. I'm like, no, dude, this is a work day. You got 2-lane traffic, and it's Monterey Car Week. Good luck. It's a 2-hour round trip, you know, both ways. And so, you know, I say all that for people that are watching or listening that, you know, you can still go and you can have a good time. You can people watch. You're not going to see a better collection of cars unless you go to Exotics on Broadway. I'm 100% sure of that. And, you know, it's worth your time and your money to go ahead and pay that $40 to get into the experience because having been there, you're right. It's cool, but you're 7 or 8 people back at times where you can't even really get to the car. You can see it, but you can't get a clean photo of it. And, you know, at least now you can kind of get in there and have some room. And I don't speak from experience because I didn't go last year, obviously, but just understanding what the event is and what it brings, to me, it just makes perfect sense. And there's no other event you're going to go to during Monterey Car Week to see half of those caliber vehicles for anything under like $500-$600.
Right. And you know what? We love everything that is offered during Car Week. I love
It's
going
great.
to I love going to Motorlux. I love going to Quail. I love going to Pebble Beach on Sunday. You know, I love all of it. I like going to Works, to Legends, you know, all those things. But for $40, you know, to be able to be around all of this, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And
Yeah.
you know, at some point in time, Jay, we should just do a talk about car week. Like, how do you do car week? Like I think that we could be on here for over an hour. And the reason I'm bringing this up right now with you is I've been seeing in my Instagram feed lately a lot of how to do car week. And it's like, this 21-year-old guy, and I'm like, dude, no. No, it's like, where can you see all the hypercars? It's like, go to 17-mile drive. Nope. They shut that down now. You can't go to 17 miles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like starting last year, they shut it down. Go to Carmel by the Sea. You can see all these cars. Nope. They don't let you go to Carmel by the Sea anymore. They blocked it off.
I didn't know that. That was the people walk. That was where you can just kind of go down there and hang out and just, car spot.
That's where I always run into you.
Yeah.
At Carmel by the Sea, and at Enzo's having a nice glass of wine.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and you talked about the lodging. Car week is the week where you have to suck it up, and if you need to sleep on the floor, you need to sleep on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've walked out of a Motel 6 in a full suit, and that just felt so wrong. So
$400 a night minimum.
Yeah. Oh, and 5-night minimum. So
yeah, 5-night minimum if you don't plan ahead, right? Because I forgot where we stayed. I think maybe Seaside, which feels, it's right in the thick of stuff right now, right?
Sure.
But it feels outside of Exotics far away, even though it's not, and depending on where you're at, Seaside. But I remember walking out of like a motel, like a 2-decker motel, that I probably wouldn't normally stay in because I'm a little too bougie, but the parking lot's full of Porsches and all sorts of cars, and it's like everybody just said, this is where we're going to stay as long as we have a place to stay. It's clean, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't make any sales. If anything, I would argue every single one of these hotels and motels that people normally wouldn't stay at, they're probably their cleanest during Monterey Car Week.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like last year, I believe it was last year, we stayed at a 2-decker motel. Open the door and you're outside.
Yep.
And in the parking lot was Amy's R8, Ed Bolian's Diablo SV Victoria's Secret car, a 488 Pista, 3 GT3 RSs. It's like, it's so weird, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's car week, and I just think a lot of the younger generation just doesn't quite understand. But you know what? They're versatile, and 15 dudes will sleep in a 1-bedroom motel, and they just want to see cars. So
it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, good luck this year. I know it's going to be a great event. It always is, because if it wasn't, you guys wouldn't be going back. Hopefully, I feel like every year we get closer to somebody screwing it up for everyone. And so hopefully this isn't the year that finally breaks the camel's back. Are you going to get out to the track at all this year? Like, what do you plan on doing outside of Exotics?
Okay. No, good question. So this year, what we will be doing is we're actually driving up on Fuel Run Rally, which leaves out of Porsche Santa Clarita, near LA. And we'll be heading up on Wednesday of Car Week. When we arrive to Monterey, typically we try to hightail it and go experience Motorlux, which is the Haggerty event at the Jet Center. So we like doing that. We like going to Legends of the Autobahn, which is, the BMW CCA event. We like to go check that out. I believe that's on Thursday. Friday is Works Reunion, which is the Porsche Club of America show, which is also a great event and great show. Don't think we're going to do Quail this year. Quail is getting tougher and tougher and tougher every year to get into. And the ticket prices keep
like
getting
$1,800, $1,900 a piece before, a markup.
Yep. So, don't have Quail on the agenda for this year, but who knows? We'll see what happens as we get closer. Of course, Exotics on Broadway is on Saturday. That takes up our entire day with our staff and everything. And then we're going to go back to Pebble this year. We didn't go to Pebble the last 2 years, but we're going to go back and go have fun and experience and support some of our good friends and partners at Pebble Beach on Sunday. And then for the first time ever, we're going to stay in Monterey for about 3 or 4 extra days and just relax.
It's gonna be like those movies, right? Like Night of the Comet. Monday, you're gonna look around, maybe even Sunday night, and you're gonna say, "What? Where is everyone? What happened?"
Yeah, it's going to be unique and interesting and odd. You're right, because all week you're just at such a high, because of the people, your friends, the companies and brands, people you haven't seen all year long or in 2 years. Obviously, the cars, the upscale bouginess. Even though Monterey and Carmel are always upscale,
Right.
it's a little extra during car week. So, it will be weird seeing no traffic, no hypercar traffic, no classic car traffic, no vintage car traffic, no race cars, no more Porsches at the Motel 6, kind of thing. But no, we'll be relaxing, catching up on life, soaking it all in, being tourists, and just having a good time. And then we'll make the trek back down to Southern California later that week.
Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for taking the time to join again. And with all your other events, Mitch, just let me know. I'd love to have you come on and just preview those events, because I have to put more, car content into this podcast anyway. It might as well be with people I'm good friends with.
No, absolutely. Like, let's talk offline. I would love to be able to do something with the RWB rally that we recently did, even if it's, revisiting it. We have a ton of great content that it's so impressive. We really felt, I already loved RWBs anyway. I know that they get a lot of hate.
Those are
like you either love them or hate them. But the culture around his vision and the brand's vision, like, we got to live it for a week, and it was unbelievable. It's something that definitely is worth talking about again.
All right, we will do that. Thanks, JB.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. We'll miss you at Car Week.
Want to thank Matt the Motorator Deandra, and Johnny Valencia for coming on the show. It's always a great conversation, and I did mean it. I feel like the peak so far of my podcast journey was being asked to co-host CarCast. You guys can check out CarCast. It comes out every week. Matt hosts that with Alistair Weaver, like he said, of Edmonds, and of course, Bill Goldberg, the wrestler Bill Goldberg. Yes, that guy, every other week. Originally, and I've talked about this before, but originally it was Matt and Adam Carolla. And then after a while, it was Matt, Adam Carolla, and then every other week it was Goldberg. And now I don't think Adam's ever on that show anymore. He's too busy talking politics and stuff. But that was really cool to be a co-host, and a complete train wreck, by the way. But to be a co-host on that episode after one of the Barrett Jacksons a couple of years ago, again, that was peak. And I wish, hopefully I can do it again at some point. That's a very high profile podcast. It's way up there as far as automotive podcasts. And for the exposure of this show, I think it'd be great. And of course, Johnny Valencia comes on all the time. Great guy. Man, how cool is that to be involved with all that stuff? They got so much stuff going on at Gear One Agency, and doing Monterey Car Week, and Exotics on Cannery Row. When I first officially met him for the first time, he used to work for Michelin and was like the director or manager of corporate partnerships or influencer or something like that, media program. And so they were one of my first sponsors with my old NSX. So I had a Michelin sponsorship. He'd hook me up with tires at cost. And that's how we kind of met from it's called Michelin Apex was the name of the forum that we used to be part of. And here we are. I mean, that was, 14 years ago, at least 14 years ago. I bought my NSX in 2012. So that was like 13 or 14. So yeah, it's been a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. A lot of car talk for you non-car people. Hopefully you're still here. For you car people, stick around. Again, this show isn't always cars. And sometimes I get myself in trouble with my hot takes and the hot takes of my guests. So with that being said, also want to introduce new show partner, The Warehouse. You guys know that I record from the warehouse pretty often when I'm not recording here. It is kind of my home away from home. Next week, I have April Halik on. I went there with her last week and we recorded. So she talked about her CRV and a few other things. So hopefully you enjoy that as I try to be a little bit more diverse in my guest selection. I have people, scheduled. Obviously, I had talked about Mariella, but that didn't work out. That was some issues on my end. But hopefully she'll be coming up sooner than later. So I want to thank Right Honda, Right Toyota, Arcus Foundry, Spark Forge, Auto Cannon, officially licensed Honda and Acura gear, the Warehouse Event Center in Mesa. Also want to thank our Patreon supporters. You too can be a Patreon supporter for up to $10 a month if you go to patreon.com/hardparkingpodcast. Get that shout out, get that write off. And that is thank you to Automotive Specialty Tool out of Owings Mills, Maryland, Beak House Small Home Design of Ashburn, Virginia, and Traverse City, Michigan, the Lucky Break Sports Breakers out of Caledonia, Michigan, Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, and of course Shipping Success with West Tankersley, Shipping Success Treasure Valley, Catch West, and I on Wondering Wednesday, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, or actually most Wednesdays. Also want to thank the personal supporters, Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Drew Bunkley, Nate Robertson, and Andre Mullins. Questions, comments, or concerns, info@hardparking.com. Follow us on Instagram at hardparkingpod. And of course, make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube. This podcast is available everywhere podcasts are normally found, but I prefer you consume this at Hard Parking on YouTube. That helps me, helps the algorithm. Thank you again for being here, and I will talk to you all next week.
Shut up!